What is up, y'all? Happy holidays. It is me, Tasha C. Ooh, it's been a long time since I did, like a movie review and whatever review. But yeah, y'all, surprise, surprise. And happy holidays to all, hugs and loves, of course. But in this particular video I'll be doing a recap review, really a recap, a dash review of Unexpected Christmas that came out this year in 2025. And Unexpected Christmas that came out, you can actually see it on Starz channel if you have the Starz channel. Okay, so talk about being rusty and getting into this. But anyway, we're about to get into it. So get ready, get your little popcorn, because we're gonna be in there for a minute. I guess it's gonna be at smacking. And by the way, y'all, it actually has been about 36 years ago that The Simpsons actually premiered. But let's get into this review. Now we see this starts off. It's like they have three locations, but most of the movie's supposed to be takes in New York. Texas. Now we see a couple, they up here in matching pajamas and the bluest teal of crushed velvet covers. And one of our main characters, Marissa, is with Richard. We're gonna say Richard. And they're talking, and she's like, okay, where are we staying? I love you, you love me, blah, blah, talk. And I know we've been talking 3 months, or where are we staying? What are we doing? And he's talking about, are we having fun and all this stuff? And he basically is like had excused himself and stuff like that, whatever, I think it was my eggnog or something, and then the eggnog was hitting and not in the way you wanted it to be. So she actually looks, which I'm like, okay, he's at fault in the first place. But besides asking how they doing, she notices, you see a little ring box, and she opens it, and the same time around this time her mama is aka almost mama's also mama Scott is texting and to be there for the holidays. So she's up here thinking that this dude is going to propose to her. He's in love and everything, and even though it's fast, it's quick, life is too short, whatever, she is burning blue, and we thinking like this is going to take off to something lovely, okay? But and we find a little later on that it's like jumping the gun. Now, besides being 3 months, she talks to her best friend, who is named Michael. And Michael, it's like even asking her, "Are you sure? Is this your final answer? This is too soon. He's a couple years old." But she's just like, "I think he's gonna propose to me and stuff, woo woo woo, and everything else, right?" So she's all excited. He even kind of like, be careful, but if you want me to be there, back up where to, be when she goes and visit her family, which, like I said, is in Texas. She's in New York, let me know. And she's like, okay. Then we go to the next scene, which is California. They show her sister, who is Chrissy, who is sitting there. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about the Christmas photos and mama's, text messages. But one of the next scenes we see, like I said, is a sister Chrissy, and she's talking to her boss, whatever, right? And her boss is basically like, okay, we're trying to look at some potential area, and we trying to get it done by Christmas, or the deal's going further. Because Chrissy is like this: I can sell water back to a well, I can sell sand back to a beach. That's how good she is. And they buying out gentrification thing, keep going. And coincidence, when they're talking about a ministry that's refusing to sell, coincidence is Prosperous Ministries, and it is her family's place. And she doesn't, of course, tell her boss that, or her partner, or whatever. But if she gets this deal, she will go head more in career, whatever, at what cost. But she pauses for a second, but she thinks about it, and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna get my family to sell, or realize like the more benefits where my family can retire and stuff. So we gonna go from there. Okay, and then she's also talking to somebody on the phone, like, are you serious this time? Whatever, we're gonna take the relationship through, but you don't see the person on the phone yet. Now, in another scene, we see later on, which happens to be, they go back to Texas as well, but we also see that it's actually Kyle, which is the younger, which is their brother, which is the brother, or the baby. Well, he would be the baby brother, even though that's Chrissy's. We find out is bonus brother and stuff, and it's a blended family situation. And his wife is Alicia, is sitting there with her red lingerie. Santa Claus was trying to get her, get her walls decked out, and he's like, baby, not tonight. And she's rolling her eyes, and he kind of has this look like, the suspense could be that he's up here, having an affair and stuff, because he's like, oh, I'm too tired, not tonight, whatever. So of course she's frustrated or whatever, right? And she's like, ain't this about a bit? Again, I'm trying here, and she's just like, is sick and tired of this. But let's go on. When we kind of get ready for everybody, get ready to land for this trip, or this upcoming family trip thing. Now we got Mama Scott, we got Willie, Mr. Willie. We also have Uncle. What is it? Uncle Carl. Is it Uncle Carl? Uncle Earl is also there, and Debbie is the auntie. Debbie is kind of in and out, but like I said, she's not going to carry around. Uncle Carl is kind of like the aka Uncle Earl is actually, is one of the comic relief, in this film. So they having a roundabout thing, and they're getting prepping ready for Christmas dinner and all this other stuff, and even talking about, people trying to get a, their church or whatever, and they like, even them out. But Mama Scott is like, we are fine where we are at, okay? And I'm peaceful, and that money is not, is not, like that's dirty money. Okay, we don't want nothing to do with that. Okay, we trying to enjoy this Christmas time. But they talking about the daughters, because they used to have, like, I guess, their careers not having having a bed, whatever. But I guess both of them are supposed to bring guys there. But they're talking smack, especially about, I think this has been a couple times they brought up talking about Marissa's ponytail. There's nothing wrong with Marissa's ponytail. Okay, nothing at all. Okay, but they up there roasting, like, we're a little bit worried about, especially go like, Marissa okay? But it's like, okay, she fine. Okay, she is fine. Let her be. Okay. So next minute, before they get ready to go back down to Texas, here around this time, I forgot to mention, or almost forgot to mention, that Marissa has a candlelight dinner thinking she about to get her proposal on. I said yes or whatever. And we zoom in that Mr. Richard has the roll-on black bag, like, you know what? I'm going to take a little break. And she's like, oh, okay, well, are you going to call me? So to make a long story short, and he basically, in so many words, it's like he's taking a break, not only for relationship and getting away and stuff like that and whatever. So, and then kisses her on the damn forehead and just left. So that's what she's like, what the hell? So of course she said she drunk, probably some Moscatos and everything the next day, and then she decided, got to get ready to go back to her hometown, And she's just like, ain't this about a stuff? But like I said, even though it wasn't a long relationship, here this dude got the nerves, audacity. That was her place, where she was at, where they were at the beginning, and matching Christmas pajamas and enjoying some alcohol and probably eggnog. And he's sitting up here in some teal crushed velvet, and up here got the ring that he was not going to use to propose to her, and be like, you know what, sorry but not sorry, getting out of here, thank you, thank you. So now we got where everybody starts to come in. First, I think one of the main people who touches down is Marissa, and she like, hi mama, hi everybody, hi daddy, how how, because I don't know if she calls him dad or not. I honestly I forgot that. How you doing? Hi family, whatever. And then when she goes to open up the door, dun, 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 drum roll please, it is her sister, which they had odds and they haven't been really like had the best sister bond. Like it seemed like they spent and growed out more once they got old enough in college and beyond the years of the adult. They like, I don't really be bothered with you except when it comes around the holidays and everybody take pictures, but we get the hell on and get about a business. So her mouth is open at first. She wanted, here's Mr. Richard. He is with her sister, and he had no idea. But here go, Carrie's sitting there like, okay, are you going to bags? Or are you just gonna sit there? And her mouth is open. He looking like Scooby Doo. She looking like, what the hell? She wish she could karate kick and stuff like that. But she's just like, what type of shit is this? So they come in and stuff like that, and it's just the awkwardness. It's even awkwardness when they come. I mean, I don't know who was catering, who was cooking the food, but it was a lot of times, at least 4 or 5 times. It's not because of, of having big back tendencies and stuff, but it was a lot of times they made sure you seen food throughout the thing. So they getting ready, they talking. And then she, like, once she realized this mess is going on, and she, he was trying to talk in the awkwardness, and he's like, basically giving the awkwardness, like, what the hell is this? She's asking him, and she's, but of course, every time the sister is coming around, he's like, they'll stop talking, and it's the awkwardness of it all. And that's when Marissa, I think, decides to either be in the house or go outside to call her best Michael, to go ahead and have him come down there, but little does he know, not till later on, that she'll be part of his plan to get revenge, basically like revenge, like, okay, he gonna see me with my man, since he want to play me like that. Okay. So, we see, like, later on, Michael eventually pulls up, and everybody just like, oh, and she's like, oh, this is my man, this is my boyfriend as well, and everybody just like, oh, how you doing? And you got the men, they're talking, I think they're playing spades, and y'all, I have a confession, I don't know how to play spades, but that's beyond the point. Now, I know how to play Uno and Goldfish, but okay, I don't know how to play Risk or nothing like that, but okay, but that's not the point, but I know that the man's playing cards. And actually, surprise, Ashley, Richard feels some type of way. But some people be like that, they be the ones in the file and being wrong, and then be like, oh, that person or persons is still my property, even though I'm the one who plucked up the relationship and stuff. So he feels kind of intimidating stuff because Richard's nice, but at the same time, Michael is this this tall chocolate giant as well. So the man's plays baby, like I said, he like feels some type of way, like, oh, okay, so you think you all that, them type of conversations, and they just having talks. But later on, one of the big scenes, which I feel like is very important when they're getting ready, talking, it's like, the tradition where you got, besides the men playing the cards, the ladies is getting ready eventually to go ahead and, set up the tree. And when they set up the tree, it's usually consisting of, the ornaments and having a place with this family here, family men there, and then the men are back where the pool is and stuff like that. Like I said, Uncle Earl is something else. But he and around this time, of course, Kyle and his wife Alicia, like I said, the baby brother Kyle and the sister-in-law Alicia is coming there. They even had said, like, even asked, like, somebody brought up, like, are they, planning on having kids? And they're working on it. But I mean, consider the circumstances at the moment, they kind of just like fade away from that. But Kyle and Alicia's like storyline, they're not the main characters neither. So later, before that, I remember they were talking, and the night before, I forgot to mention, before they get ready to do this Christmas decorations, and Michael ends up talking, the house is big enough, he's able to go in like, okay, you do know, like, you ain't gonna be no, like, us getting together, you know what I mean, nothing like that. And she's like, no, I just need you to play with the boyfriend. She's trying to poop a point to Richard and stuff like that. but she had no idea that they was together, that type of thing. And they had talked beforehand, like why y'all don't get along or nothing like that. And it's because the thing is, it's like, she's this certain way and with this certain way we have a part. But she also mentions the truth about kind of maybe why they clash as well. Now the blended family came apart where when Marissa and her mama and Kyle, dad ends up passing away, whatever time. She used to have a very close relationship with her dad. But before he passed away. And then she said 5 months later, she met this man who I think, we found out later on was a part of the military and stuff. Thank you for your services, Willie. And they end up falling. It seemed like less than a year or fast, whatever. They eventually got together. They had a daughter who was around the same age, who happens to be Carrie. And they take it from there. And she just kind of felt like mad and kind of dealing with the grief where how her mom ends up marrying this man and to get together, even though there was never nothing negative about him. It seems like to be in a positive and a positive life, as far as how he took his kids and kids on his own, vice versa. And then also Carrie at the same time is explaining the story, her bring up story to in another room is Richard. And when she explains to Richard that her mom, she was with her, I think parents were no longer together, or if they were together, he was in the, like I said, her daddy Willie was in the military, and her mom unfortunately had addiction to drugs, and unfortunately over time, because it got so bad, her dad ends up getting custody, gaining custody, winning custody over her, and her mom, unfortunately, due to complications, passes away, and she was like, with Mama Scott gave her the love and and gave her support that her mom wasn't able to get her and be able to give love. And like I said, to a certain point, like with grief, there was at the same time it was also gains, so that's another thing too. And also, not to, of course, like there was hints, but she sat there and was like trying to tell the family, like, what, have y'all thought about selling, they were talking about this company's trying to buy it for some. She was like, well, what's wrong with you, y'all retired and stuff, you and dad retiring and enjoying y'all life, mama, Carrie was asking Mama Scott, and she like, there is nothing wrong, I go come as I please, well, she even, was also trying to bring up, not, they don't have as many people that, members like we used to, and her stuff. She's like, we do what we supposed to do, we can and can't. It is all right. Cause she's saying like the money, it's worth it. Y'all can retire. So she's like, we good where we at. Okay. We fine. We just fine. Fine. So, when they're about to get ready, we go flash forward back to doing the Christmas tree part, before we have a family party, and I like to call AKA the Christmas confessions without the cookies. So they have a scene where Uncle Herb got this girlfriend, that has purple hair. There's nothing wrong with purple hair. Looking like, they don't go into detail where they met, but knowing Uncle Carl, aka Uncle Earl, I like to call him, knowing him, it may be an interesting place. Okay. And then when they're talking about certain auntie or sister, they said how almost history unfortunately repeated itself, but it was sibling robbery and it's going on, family members, and they didn't talk anymore. And unfortunately, the Lord took them to glory, and nothing was resolved. And then, like I said, when Isis had came in, yeah. If y'all watching the screen, you see her right now in the outfit on, so she might have been, making a clap or something, but they didn't go into detail. But when she mentions this Barbara, lady, she was like, oh, that's my auntie or cousin or somebody, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I'm saying, it's Uncle Earl, but he didn't tell anybody she was coming on, but he invited her. And then they put two together, it's like, wait a minute. So that's what related two to two. He dated somebody related to him, one of the cousins. but they putting up the tree. And at the meantime, the phone, Kyle got his phone unlocked, and Alicia is able to see a particular message that states that you need to tell Rachel. It's been months now. It's from Rachel. Okay, Rachel's name gonna come up later on. So of course, Alicia is, of course, which most of us would think, put two together. Oh, I'm not getting none. I can't get no loving from my husband. And this where I said, you need to tell me about this. Oh, this been cheating. Okay, he been cheating, but she don't say anything yet. She's just like, waiting for the right time to explode, aka the cookie. I mean, they don't actually say Christmas confession, but that's what it ended up turning to. Okay, so there's another scene, like I said, after the Christmas retreat thing, that I want to point out, because they end up having a Christmas photo party, but Christmas photo party, which beforehand it was another time that Carrie and Richard are talking about career. She wants to go further with, her career, and, they can be like a power couple, and she can keep, gentrifying, well, she don't exactly say that, but, gentrifying places, and he can go, because he's actually went to medical field, and his dad is about to retire to work, so he basically, is in the medicine field because of, his family told, kind of like, okay, it's not so many choices, and he's set to be and continue on the tradition of the family, and that's where he ended up. But he's like, he doesn't know we want to keep doing. She's like, what do you mean? I want to keep doing it and stuff like that. What about me? That would be perfect for that, whatever, right? Now, it's another scene later on that finally we do have a moment where we have Marissa and Richard talking. And he kind of admits to her, because she's like, why did you do me like that? How are you going to act like that? I don't know why I was thinking about that Tyrese song, but that's besides the point. But he admits to her that pretty much, I guess, because maybe perspective, he actually, when he was in school in, I guess, California, I think it might have been when in California, when he met to go in medicine, because that was expected of him. That's how he met Carrie and stuff like that. But he, like I said, eventually faded to get away from the family and the pressures of being in medicine. That's when he moved to New York and ends up with her, and did that stuff there. And just when you seem like there's still feelings there, just so, we play a game of X Know How to see when Uncle Earl, Uncle Carl, I don't know why I keep calling Uncle Earl Carl, but he like, what the heck is going on here? Because he's suspicious and wondering, because, at this time, Marissa is able to hide under some table or something like that in the kitchen, so they don't get caught talking, because it's almost got to the point, like, I was just like, Marissa, don't do it, don't fall for it, this is some bullshit, because at the end of the day, even though you didn't know it's his sister, he still dumped you, had the ring that he had on the darn floor of your place in the apartment, okay? So, but like I said, they end up talking, and later, like I said, later on, but they just kind of leave it at that, and then you just tradition. But like I said, Uncle Earl Carl was thinking like, you got to tell me something, Richard. He was kind of thinking like, okay, you got some problem here? Are you trying to steal pots, pans? You on that stuff? He was just kind of concerned, which I don't mind that, whatever. And by the way, later on, they end up telling him about ISIS. I think Mama Scott and Debbie is like, let him know, like, by the way, let's get this straight now. You thinking ISIS? Yeah, that's your girlfriend, but Barbara, that's her auntie, cousin, a mama on the other side. I forgot how she said she was late. He was like, that's your cousin. He all trying to talk stuff like, cuz I don't think that, he thought to himself, but didn't want to say any darn thing until later on in the later scene that he was called her, and he lied and said the kitchen had blow up, so she wouldn't show up, for Christmas dinner. He like, you know what? It blew up. It was a bomb. I can't tell you. There is asbestos. There is stuff going on here. The coffee blew up everywhere and stuff like that. And and it's just a lot going on here. But he didn't want nobody to know. Okay, he had to cancel that real quick. But so we're getting ready to go into the later scene. They're also getting prepared where they have like dinner, like it's like a hot day. I can't say like a soup cancer because that whole split. I don't know if it's like a pre dinner, but basically she was telling her girls about why it's important to keep the church and it's help people who ended up in a bad, like a hardship times, and help them that they didn't give up and kept faith and kept going on. Basically the moral of the story. Okay, and so. After they have the photo party, and Dominique takes out that oh my gosh, I said the real woman's name that played the character. I meant to say Marisha took off that ponytail, and they had a lovely party, took some photos, and she's still, pretending, pretending to be like she's with Michael, but she's really not. We get ready, and it's later on, the day before Christmas, whatever, and this is what I like to call Christmas confessions. And everything, of course, hits the fence. Now, earlier, the same time when they were talking about kind of the backgrounds between when Richard was talking with Carrie, he was about to confess about the relationship to which he did not know that they were sisters and then nothing like that with that, but he kind of left it alone. So it just seemed like everything started like downpalling and spazzing out. You got Alyssa first. Alyssa calls out Kyle like, "You've been cheating on me. Who's this? Oh, that you's talking about? You need to tell your wife about me," stuff like that. And this is really a topic. Consider how serious it is. That maybe I doubt maybe they would do this, but if they make like, what happens, because to me, personally me, I feel like it was open-ended to a certain point, that they could have it like what comes up for the sisters and stuff like that, even what's going to count. But Alicia's like, she's putting flash over everybody because they getting ready, I think, to make some eggnog stuff, prepping for tomorrow's big day, Jesus' birthday, okay? But she put him on blast, and he's like, "You know what? That is my therapist." She's like, "That's a lie. Y'all haven't been able to get enough." He explains to her that he's going to therapy for ED. Okay. And if you know what I mean, erectile dysfunction. So he's like, "You embarrassed me for my family." So he just walked off of whatever. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And then it is like one person to another. And here, Richard ends up, it goes back and forth, like between the sisters. And then Richard's like, "I got confessions on top of that." Even though the cow thing was, like I said, a big topic, but he wasn't really liking if him or Alicia were really in the film. But what happens is that, you know what? I seen your little phone come. You up here trying to sell. You the one who trying to sell and get your family to sell the Prosperous Ministry and trying to turn it to a Foot Locker and some other stuff, and maybe a Starbucks or two or whatever, or in another independent inexpensive coffee shop and a couple of Chipotles, okay? And some high-rise apartments and shit, okay? But he put some blast about that, and he had said, and it around that time admitted about him that he was actually, turns out, was with Marissa and stuff as well. He's like, I was just putting it all on the line and stuff. So after that, of course, it's like, records and stuff happen, and it's just a shocking with that. And then it goes back and forth between like the siblings and stuff, because like I said, Marissa feels some type of way about feeling like she's abandoning stuff in the grief, and she ends up telling basically her mom, mom, in the back forth, she's trying to fuse the situation, comes back, and she feels like, well, what about me? You up here just married this man, and my dad wasn't even cold in the grave. And of course, Michael, by this time, even before all this stuff started piling on, he was like, "I'm not her boyfriend. I'm a gay best friend." And I think it was Uncle Earl / Uncle Carl was like, I knew it. So, but that's what had happened. So everybody walked away, and the mom kind of feels kind of guilty at first, like at the words, because it was just like, oh my gosh, it ended with that. So what ends up happening is that Mama Scott's has a talk with Willie, like, did she feel guilty about like being, getting along with. She was happy the family's being together, and she was, when she was with the Kyle's and Marissa dad, she actually, her whole life was put on hold with hold. I mean, like everything was for him. But when she did this, she was blessed to, find Willie and Carrie, and finish it. So it's like, don't feel guilty or nothing like that. You're not a bad mom and stuff, and whatever, that type of talk. And then Michael has a talk with his best friend Marissa in the kitchen. He was like, the fact that you were so mean to your mom, mean to your mom was uncalled for, and that's not your character. And that's what she felt like the whole thing was at first, at the moment. Like, you know what, like, I felt like the tension, feeling the grieving of dad, and like still kind of dealing with the grief for her dad, and her kind of eventually butting heads with Carrie. And Carrie's, was appreciated of her mom's affection, but she just felt like she was pushed behind. But still, Mike was like, right is right and wrong is wrong. And it still wasn't right how you did your mom. It just made it seem like your mom just abandoned you. And like, how dare you? So, well, after that, there is a talk the next Christmas morning, okay? This, I will say also this about the film. It's one of those films that even though they had church, there wasn't like a lot of scenes or a lot of things that mentioned church, you know what I mean? Or had like a lot of things that was connected, where even though it was their church, it wasn't like a part of like the big focus of the movie, if you know what I mean. It was a lot of unexpected things. Now, they got it right with Unexpected Christmas, but a lot of things weren't say what you would call like a Christmas movie, so to speak. Where, I mean, even though it had like certain things that talked about the church, it wasn't like, say, a church movie. But really, Carrie, calls that company, was like, you know what, I'm not selling, I quit. That proper split ministry is not for sale. I am done with you people. I will rebuke, your greediness and gluttony for money, gluttonous and greed, going somewhere else. So she's going to start over. She sees, and this is actually the second time in the film that you see that Marissa is talking, and I guess the cemetery is not too far away from where the dad was buried. She ends up talking to her dad and confessing, the stuff that she needs to work on, but at the end of the day, like basically need to change for the better, and just, she was hurting, but at the end of the day, just basically wants to heal and move on. And the sisters come together and they realize, like, I miss you and I love you type of thing. And, first, okay, y'all, I'm just going to keep it real. This is my second time using, or my first time using UCut to make a movie. And it seems like it was a lot going on. It was I'm was trying to do some stuff while I'm finishing up this review. So bear with me, y'all. So if it seemed like it's a cut, or it seemed like the last part was like in and out, or like seemed like some stuff was stopped, or it seemed like, why it seemed like she's starting to stop talking. That's why. But yeah, so I'm finished with finished with what I was going to do. But let me get back to finishing the remaining part, because we're at the grand finale. So the sister, like I said before, they realized they love each other, and they realized that they first wanted to mention, like, did we miss out? No, we can still continue to love each other. And, basically Carrie's able to say, I'm done with that, the job starting new. So that's what I'm saying. One thing that's open-ended is with them, it's not just their sisterhood and friendship, your sisterhood and bondhood that could happen. But Carrie's like, I'm going to move on and start like that. That dirty money is no good. I ain't about to deal with that mess. Whatever, okay? Then on top of that, they talk, and they even talk, of course, about like the guy. I had no idea, and talking about the awkwardness of the guy. Mr. Richard, which like I said, Mr. Richard also admitted that actually he felt a more of a connection to or to Marissa. It was either to her, I ain't gonna lie, or even though I wrote this stuff down, I took notes this time, y'all, that part. But I'm glad they was like, even though once they talked about the situation, Carrie gave her like basically like, even though it'd be kind of awkward at first if you decide to do it, I give you, like, I'm not gonna say olive branch, but she was based like this, like she basically, like, sis, if you want to be with him, I know it'd be kind of awkward first couple Christmases or whatever, but she's like, if you want to be with this man, I have no problem with it and stuff. But Marissa was like, no, sis, I'd rather us work and on our bond and stuff, like, if that man, whatever. So, even though earlier, y'all, in the film, we had seen it might have been potential. I'm like, even though I was already like, don't do it, don't go back to Richard, there might have been a chance there was still some feelings there. They decide only to work on their sisterhood. I know also too, I think Marissa's job was like, I think she had an independent coffee place her own self, I think, in New York, or like, supposed to be like saving the environment or save the people type of coffee or whatever. And Richard decides that, like, it also has told that he was no longer going to be in medicine and work on the stick. I don't even know, honestly, y'all, or forgot what he wanted to do. They didn't even go into that. Okay, but Richard, he's still gonna come for the Thanksgiving dinner, but he doesn't have neither a potential fiance, which he said he glad he didn't propose to Marissa when the Christmas confessions happened. He was like, you know what? I'm fine, whatever, but he's going to go about his own dreams. I don't know if he's going to go back to California or whatever the case is, or stay back in New York, but based on the sisters going to work on their sisterhood. Now, you also have Kyle later on, and with Alicia, they said they're going to work it out, and she showed that around Christmas confession, she found a business card with a therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist, Rachel, and I guess ended up calling her. She said she was able to talk down, she had understanding, and we're going to work it out. I don't know, say he is going to have to, because like I said, they didn't go into details, because like I said, Kyle and Alicia were very, very generous in the film, but like I said, maybe if you made me interested, like maybe they could do a part 2. They usually don't do part 2s, and maybe this was supposed to be a film that not come back. The person to me that, like I said again, opening, like, maybe they might have it where they might be able not only get on it where Bells and able to make it through, but work on their family, can't get enough. And what's next for the sisters as individuals? And next year they're going if they're gonna get a man or whatever as well. That's how I kind of looked at this open-endedness. So, but Marissa ends up apologizing to her mom about her outburst, I guess the night before, and her mom understands, like, I understand, but I love you, dear. And, sometimes even the good kids, can be broken and we don't know how. But I love you, dear. And they go and work now. They have this lovely Christmas dinner. And Michael, who kind of like faded like towards Christmas, because first, he hasn't been at the house. He's been staying out there at the hotel and stuff, I guess, after that day and the day before. But he came back at the end. He was like, I want to fix myself a plate. And it pretty much, that's everybody's at the table and the family united. Like I said, Uncle Earl, and I keep saying Uncle Earl Carl, and already told Isis, after coming and finding out what was going on, like, I ain't with that stuff. I ain't gonna tell the family that, but I'm glad they told me the information. So everybody's at table unity, and it kind of leaves it open where it's a Christmas and everything can start anew. And that's pretty much just it, y'all. So it was kind of, like I said, decent flick, and the ED situation could have been further and needs his own storyline itself, or can go on further. And personally, me, I don't know if they're gonna watch this video or not, but like I said, personally, it's a decent movie. I'll give it like a B+, because there was some things unexpected, even unexpected and stuff. Heck, one of the main things unexpected wasn't one of the main characters. But yeah, they could probably pull off like an unexpected Christmas 2 and come out in a year 2, if that's what they want to do. But like I said, I hope y'all enjoyed this review, y'all, even with the little interruptions and the little bootneck noise in the background of me me trying to put a blood pressure machine stuff together, stuff like that. Hugs and love, y'all, and take care. And I will see y'all on the next one, aka also Vlogmas. Next Vlogmas day 18. But yeah, y'all, I actually enjoy these. I'm on my way back. But also, too, y'all, if y'all haven't noticed, if this is your first, if this is not the first time seeing it, I do need to make a new intro or outro because cannot find my intro and outro. So I was gonna put a little Christmas one there on here. I still might. But anyway, let me get out of here while I'm up here keep ranting and stuff. Okay, y'all take care.